And it's a Wednesday morning edition of Daybreak Nevada. Last week, we talked about, on the news, a letter that came out signed by nearly 300 sheriffs indicating to the president that they were disappointed that he was not enforcing the law. White Pine County Sheriff Scott Henroid was one of the 9 sheriffs in this state. A number of sheriffs did not sign on to it, which should disappoint many of you, especially since many of you, these are your sheriffs that didn't sign on. But White Pine County Sheriff Scott Henroid was one of the people who signed on to that letter. Scott, good morning. Tell us how this came about.
Good morning, Wyatt. Once again, thank you for having me. You know, we received a email from our Sheriffs and Chiefs Association from the state of Nevada, and basically what they do is they pass along information to us and leave it up to our discretion if we would like to sign the letter or not. So that's how I received it. I read the letter. It was written by Sheriff Thomas M. Hodson. He's the sheriff of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in Bristol County. And he composed a letter and sent it out for all the sheriffs in the nation to review, and wanted to know if we wanted to sign on to it.
And we did listen to the sheriff on the air here on our station, heard what he had to say about it. What do you have to say about the letter?
Well, I read the letter, and I agree with his stance. You know, I'm not against immigration in any way, Wyatt. I believe in lawful immigration. I mean, there's a lot of great people that have immigrated to our country and are wonderful citizens and have donated their time and talents to make America great.
I mean, look at how many great immigrants we have here and how Ely, by and large, was a melting pot over the years.
Correct, and it still is, and it's a wonderful place, and those immigrants that do it lawfully are more than welcome here. Our biggest concern, Wyatt, is why I signed this letter that went to the president, was to basically stop the illegal immigration, because they're bypassing everything that America stands for, and that's doing things lawfully. And so we don't know who's coming into our country right now as these masses of people are pushing through and are allowed to enter our country. They're not being vetted. And so that's a real concern, because transnational gangs, dangerous drugs, and violent crime only follow with this type of behavior that's allowed.
And, you know, let's also talk about the fact that, and I know this well, people who immigrate legally have to go through serious medical testing before they come in. These people who are coming in are getting zero testing.
Correct, you know, and we see that in the news daily, how they're being housed, and there's a real concern there with the COVID issues that we hear about on the news. And you're correct. We don't know why they're coming to our country. Are they here to do harm to our citizens, or are they here to do good? We don't know, but those things have to be put into place so that when they do enter our country, they're productive citizens and they're here for the right reason.
And many of these people that are coming in are not necessarily from South America. They're seeing people from all over the world coming in through our southern border. When you think about this and you realize that there are a number of people who are claiming to be of a party that is in the opposition of the president, and they won't sign on to something like this, what does this say to you?
It tells me that they don't have the best interest in our country. It tells me that they're not really concerned with our citizens, because as a sheriff, that's my number one concern, is the safety and protection of not only you and your families, me and my families, but every citizen in White Pine County and it extends out to every citizen of the United States. That's the sheriff's concern. And so we can't protect you when we don't know who's coming into our country. Are they terrorists? Are they gang members? Are they drug runners? Are they, here to just do harm and evil to people of our country? And so if we don't have those philosophies that, hey, we want to make sure when you come here that you are going to be a good person, what does that tell us? I think you can make up your own mind, Wyatt.
And we occasionally will play a program from 1954, a program called The Wetbacks that was done by CBS. It was an hour-long special documenting the porous nature of the border back then. If our politicians have not, save one, if our elected leaders have not found the courage to reinforce that border, why should we expect the people now to reinforce that border?
Right. Yeah, that's a sad thought. Derogatory wetbacks, that's not really accepted in our...
Not today, no,
Yeah,
but that was
no.
it was called back in the 1950s.
Correct. And yeah, that mentality needs to go away. But yeah, protecting our borders. I mean, where else can you go to a different country where you are not scrutinized and have to obtain the proper paperwork to enter? And yet here in the greatest nation in the world, we're just allowing people to come in freely without even knowing who they are. It's a tragedy, in my opinion. I mean, we're just setting ourselves up for disaster. And I think the thing that the country really needs to realize in law enforcement, these are our focus. These are the things that we focus on, is to keep you safe. And as a citizen, I think that a lot of times we don't realize that. I think citizens just take that for granted, that we in law enforcement are going to do that for you. But we can't do that for you when, just like you said, our political leaders are pushing that safety aside and just letting people come in.
Yeah, I want to talk about one thing, and this is kind of off of that. We had a horrible incident up in Minnesota where somebody was placed under arrest. The person tried to bolt away. Instead of grabbing the taser that the law enforcement officer thought she had grabbed, she actually grabbed her weapon and fired and killed the suspect. Training is difficult, and split-second decisions sometimes can result in accidents. What are your thoughts?
Well, I watched that video yesterday that was released, and my heart just sank for both the officer involved and especially for the family that was involved that lost that young man. We, as the White Pine County Sheriff's Office, do carry tasers, and we train extensively on knowing the difference between our firearm and our taser. In fact, we are not allowed, in my policies, we are not allowed to carry our taser on what's called our strong side, which is the side that you carry your gun. It has to be on the opposite side so that those mistakes don't happen. Just a tragedy, a very, very tragedy for all parties involved. And I hope that some peaceful resolutions can come of that. I know that the police department that's involved in there will do their due diligence to investigate that and find the right outcome.
White Pine County Sheriff Scott Henroid spending some time with some serious issues on us. Hopefully we'll talk about something a little better next time when we get together.
Agreed.
All righty. White Pine County Sheriff Scott Henroid, where Nevada comes to talk.